Alright guys, I'm back. In this video we're going to basically extend a little bit on the last video I did regarding Headspace, and we touched on a little bit of issues with reloading when it comes to that. And the reason we're going to get back into this subject is I've had a couple of comments and questions. A couple of people wanting to see me show you how to set a die up in this manner, and then some of the questions was why would you not full length size every time? So let's address that question first. The reason you don't want a full length size every time, and this equates to reloading precision rifle more so than anything else, but it's if you're the kind of guy that buys a pull brass, or you just want to extend your brass life, you don't want to work it no more than you have to, because the more you work brass, the harder and brittle it gets, and the more it's going to wear, the faster it's going to wear out and cause issues. So that's the reason you would want to fire it, then neck size it as many times as you can before the bolt starts to get hard to close. And when that happens, you full length size it again. Like I explained on that video, every time you fire it, if your chamber's longer than the round is, say it's 5 thousandths, well, every time you fire it, that thing is going to stretch 5 or close to 5 thousandths. I'm not sure it stretches exactly 5, but so if you set your die up to go all the way to semi-spec, which means you size it as far as it can be sized, and you got 5 thousandths headspace, every time you fire it, it's going to stretch 5 thousandths. If you only neck size, the first time you fire it, it's going to stretch 5 thousandths. The second time, it's not really going to stretch any. You're just resizing the neck, and it's fitting your chamber. And so you can get 2 or 3, whatever. I mean, depends on your situation, your brass, and your gun. But let's say you get 3 firings in between full length sizing, so you increase your brass life by 3 times if you get 3 firings out of it, because you're only stretching the brass, and then the brass will stretch at other places if it can, depending on your chamber. So but to make this short and sweet, every time you size it back and bump the shoulder back, or even if you've got a out of spec in the diameter, which a lot of factory guns are, they're kind of egg-shaped or oblonged or oversized. If you've got something like that, you may have to full length resize every time, or it won't fit the gun when you try to put it back in there. So it's going to be situational dictated. Now what I'm going to demonstrate today is how to set the dies up, because I had a couple of guys wanting to see that video. And keep in mind, I hadn't forget about you guys on the tearing the M1 bolt apart and putting it back together without special tools. I've already got that recorded. I got to go in the computer and find it and all that good stuff. You guys know I'm not really into this whole editing and all that kind of crap. So, and I'm not very I don't plan this stuff, so everything I pretty much do is pretty much, basically off the cuff. So I just do it. I don't really plan for it. So what we're going to do is I'm going to demonstrate to you. I've got a couple pieces of brass here. I've got a 243 because I don't want to change my dies for my 308 to show you how to do this. 243 headspace is the same length as 308. It's the same case. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the 243 in this 308 to show you some stuff with setting up your dies. Now, when you're setting up your dies, there's 3 or 4 different methods that people tell people to do. I would always suggest you follow the manufacturer and what they say, but even their stuff can be, modified to fit your particular situation. So lots of people on the internet, and this question ain't just off the internet, it's also local. You know, some of my local customers here, you know, they'll learn how to reload from their buddy or whatever, and I feel a lot of people in reloading don't understand Headspace enough, or as much as they should, which is why I'm making the video. And I hadn't seen anything like this, even in advanced reloading videos that are on YouTube. So let me go ahead and say this from the get-go. I am not an expert in reloading. I don't know everything there is to know about reloading. I know reloading as much as I do, and I know guns as much as I do, and that's where this information comes from. I'm not claiming to be an expert and know, you know, the only way to do stuff, so just want to throw that out there for you guys. I've been reloading for quite a while. I think I got a pretty good grasp on it, but that's up to you to determine, and any information is for educational purposes, so don't attempt it unless you fully understand what you're doing. Okay, so most guys, be it on the internet or local, guys will tell you to screw a die down, raise your ram, screw a die down until it touches the ram, lock down your lock nut, and then you're pretty much set. Well, that's not the case. That's all dependent upon your chamber and your rifle, because most factory guns, well, I won't say most, a lot of factory guns are out of spec. They'll actually close on a no-go gauge. So that method would probably work for that, okay? And then another method that a lot of people say is you screw it down till it touches, you back it off a quarter of a turn, and then you run it that way, or you adjust it in a little bit at a time, whatever. And then some people will say screw it down till it touches, raise the ram, turn it in half a turn or full turn or whatever, and lock it down. Although all of them methods can be correct, they're not necessarily correct for your situation. So hopefully what I'm going to do today is demonstrate to you how to do this for your specific gun. This is setting dies up for specific guns, not necessarily a, you know, one size fits all thing, because that's kind of what the other methods is. So what we got here is, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, I've got a piece of brass here that I think has already been sized because it's cleaned up and prepped. I'm assuming it's already sized for my chamber. You see that goes in, closes, no problem. Okay. I got a piece of Hornady match brass here that I'm not sure what gun it was fired out of, if it was one of mine or what. Now this chamber here has about 0 to 1,000 headspace. I hadn't really technically measured it, but you have to pretty much go all the way to semi-spec to get something to fit this gun. You go with this piece of brass, it won't even go forward far enough too close. And then you got to bump it out of there. So that's either too long or too fat, one of the two. Alright, and this is a piece of Lake City that was fired out of a buddy of mine's gun, which was a factory gun, so I know it's not going to fit either. Okay, see it starts to want to go over, but it don't come over very far. Okay, so that's the three pieces of 308 brass, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw my full length sizer die in here, and I'm going to size these other two and show you that they won't fit now, and they're once fired. These has never been fired more than once. They're factory ammo, once fired out of whatever rifle, I don't know. So I'm going to demonstrate to you. And I'm not going to change this die because this is why I got the 243 piece of brass, and the 243 dies right here. That's the one I'm going to adjust for you. So I'm going to take I got a ready competition die set here, and I'm going to take my body die and I'm going to screw it down, and it should be set up for this rifle. Okay. Find my imperial sizing wax, and I'm going to take the Hornady. You know, like I said, we seen it. It it wouldn't even begin to go. I mean, it ain't even going all the way forward. This tells me it's probably blowed out in its diameter. So let's go ahead. We got the Hornady Headspace gauge here on a caliper, and it's zeroed out. Now this is the one that does fit the rifle, so we're going to see what this headspace is on this piece of brass. That's 1.620. Okay. The Lake City once fired that wasn't out of this gun is 1.632. Okay, so that's pretty sizable difference there. That's quite a bit. And here's the Hornady. It's only 3/1000ths longer, so it must be blown out in the well, the 3/1000ths would keep it from closing too, but the way it's not going all the way forward, everything is going to be blowed out here on the diameter. So that was I can't remember if I told you what that was. That's 1.623. The one that fits my chamber is 1.6220 or 22. 20. Okay, so this piece here is 3/1000ths longer than it should be to fit this chamber. So we're gonna put some lube on it, stick it in here, and we're gonna size it, and we're gonna wipe it off. And it should, if my dye hadn't gotten off, it should now fit this gun. No. What's the deal? Probably should knock that primer out first. Let me knock these primers out. They're going to be holding it up too. Now this thing is also set up for Lake City brass too, so let's just do that first. With the primer in it, we'll just discard that piece of brass. So this is the Lake City, which is what I usually use. And I'll show you again before we start that it won't close. It goes to right there. Okay, so we'll put some sizing wax on it. Do our thing. Clean it off. And goes in there, closes, no problem. Okay, so what that did, it sized the outside too, but it also bumped the shoulder back to where it needed to be to fit this gun. Where it was too long. Now, let's say this was the semi-spec, which it probably is, because this chamber is pretty tight. Let's say this was fired out of my gun, but the chamber was that, ever how long that was, I can't remember. But anyway, it was longer than semi-spec. So if I full length size it every time, so I fired it once and it blowed forward, everything stretched, whatever that headspace was. So now I resize it, I bump it all back. So I shoot it again, it's going to blow and stretch that much again. I size it again, put it back in there, shoot it again, it's going to stretch that much again. And again, like I said, brass is going to vary, but you're usually going to anticipate about 12 to 15,000 stretch before the case starts wanting to come apart, which could be not good for your health. Not necessarily would it blow the gun up, it can, but it probably wouldn't. But it'd probably do some other kind of damage to it. So this is why you don't want to full length size every time you load. That's why you want, once you blow it out and fire form it to your chamber, you want to keep it in that measurement. Now, I don't remember what this was, but y'all are watching the video, so you can rewind it. What the measurement was on this piece of brass. But now we get it back to 1.621. I think it was 1.3 something earlier, but I don't remember. So now both of these pieces will fit this chamber. So to get that out of the way, we're going to measure this 243. It's 1.626, and we'll see if it'll fit the chamber. And no, it won't close. Okay. So now I'm going to show you how to set up regular dies or your good set of dies or whatever the case is. Put my dies up, and then we're going to get these full length sizer. Now this is just a standard RCBS. Hopefully I got the, nope, don't have that on there. Let's see if this one will fit. Okay, so we got that loosened up. So if we go according to what a lot of people say on the internet or your buddies or whoever, we're going to drop this ram down and we're going to run this die down until it touches the ram. Okay, so we're against the ram right there. We lock her down. Now, according to what them guys say, this should fit your chamber. Now, if you got a factory gun and a long chamber, this will probably fit, but so we're going to size this, and chances are it's not going to fit this gun. So we're going to wipe it off, get all the lube off of it. Now that's with it touching the ram, like a lot of people say to set your dies, and it still won't. It gets a little bit closer. So we're going to take it again. We're going to pull the ram up, touch the ram, let the ram down. We're going to turn it a quarter of a turn. And then we're going to size it again. Now this might close now. Yes. So you see now it took us a quarter turn to get it to fit this gun. Now that don't mean a quarter turn is going to fit your gun or whatever. You may have to back it out some or leave it where it's at, depending on how long or short your chamber is. But so once we get it here, what you can do is you can just incrementally, 1/16 of a turn or 1/8 of a turn, size it, check it, size it, check it till it will just close. And if you want to get it real perfect, you take your barrel shroud out so it has no spring tension on it, and you can get it to where it'll just fall on its own weight on the bolt handle. Okay, so let's grab another piece of 243, see if we can get one a little bit worse. Alright, here's another one. Let's go ahead and measure it. Well, let's measure this and see what it is now after we sized it. Okay. It's, you guys can see that, 1.620, which is exactly what my piece of brass was that fits the gun. Let's see what this one is. And like I said, some of this brass may not be out of spec lengthwise, it may be out of spec on the diameter. That's 1. Damn light in here is hard to deal with. 1.626. So that's technically 6/1000 out of spec. It should not close. Yeah, it don't even want to begin to close. Okay. Same thing. Now we're going to back this up. Come down till we touch. Lock it down. Now most dies are set up to where you'll turn it, I don't know, half a turn or so, and just get just a little bit of cam over where it stops right before it bottoms out, and you push it and it kind of cams over and pops back up. That's probably going to be semi-spec. But again, if your chamber is not semi-spec, you don't need to be full length sizing it back to that every time. So we're just now, we're where the die is touching, and I hadn't run it in or backed it out or anything like that. So we'll do what a lot of people say, which is you back it out a quarter of a turn. Okay, now we'll size that, wipe that off, and of course it's not going to fit at all. It tried to a little bit, so that tells me the diameter was the biggest issue. Okay, so now we're going to run it up again. Run it down till it touches. Lock it down. We're going to size it. Try it again. Okay, it's about where it was just a minute ago. So now we know that it's the length and not the diameter for the most part. So we're gonna, so we're touching now. Back this off. So we're just touching. Okay. Now we're gonna turn it 1/8 of a turn. Lock it down. Size it. Until it's just slightly cam over. And see what we got. Okay, that closes. You don't want to size any more than that. Now it's like, so if you'd have went a half a turn or a full turn, and you cam it over a little bit harder, you may get another, I don't know, thousandths or so bump back on your shoulder, which means every time you shoot it, it's going to grow that much if you resize every time. Or even if you only resize that one time, full length resize that one time you shoot, it's going to stretch that extra thousandths, and then you're going to neck size it until it gets tough to close again. So hopefully that showed you guys, and we'll see what this measures. It's actually 20. There we go. 20 and a half. So it's 1.6205, which is a half a thousandths over what my other brass is. So as you can see, you're going to be getting a lot more brass life doing it this way. If you're concerned with that, again, if you've got a good chamber that fits match or fits semi-spec, then if you don't want hassles and you just want a full length size every time and you're only going to use a brass 3 or 4 or 5 times, that's fine. But if you semi-spec full length size every time and you got headspace, you're going to start running into the problem of having head separation or a breach in the side of the case. It's going to leak gas back into your face, or maybe blow the magazine open, and you know, could possibly set off your other rounds maybe. There's no rhyme or reason of what happens and why, as far as when these things do ignite or blow a hole in the case or whatever. So these are just things you need to try to avoid, because your failure could be a minor thing, could just burn your eyes a little bit with a little bit of gas seepage into your face. Hopefully you're wearing shooting glasses. And it could be as bad depending on the kind of gun you have and whether whether or not you're tight breeched or safety breeched. It could completely blow the gun up, and that's not something that's probably going to happen as much as people like to think so, but it can. So if you're going to reload, hopefully you understand what I went through in the other video, trying to explain this to you. And again, like I said, I'm also going to measure, let's see where my 338 Lapua stuff is. I know that's brand new brass. I need my fired brass. Let me cut you off for a minute, I'll get my fired brass. But anyway, my 338 Lapua, brand new Lapua brass, once I loaded it and fired it in the Savage that I have, it has 4,000 headspace. So when I bump it back, or when I resize it, I'm either not going to bump the shoulder back at all, or I'm going to bump it back maybe 1,000ths and then neck size from there. Just to extend that brass life, especially if you're shooting Lapua brass. If you guys that are shooting 338 Lapua, you know this stuff is like, shit, I can't remember, $200 or $250 per 100 pieces of brass. So obviously you want to make that go as far as you can, for sure. And so that's what's prompting the video. Let me cut you, and I'll go get some of that, and we'll pull some measurements on it. Alright, so this is, every bit of this is once fired. I hadn't resized it or anything since I fired it, and these are loaded but not fired at all. So we're going to pull a measurement. This is the wrong, that's the wrong thing. Let me change this out. I believe this is the right one. Let's see. Can't remember which one it was now. Pretty sure this is the right one. So we're gonna measure this headspace, or the length of the cartridge, whatever you want to call it. Alright, zero that. Make sure it repeats. I'm having a hard time getting you guys on that. Make sure it repeats. Okay. We'll measure one of these rounds that's been loaded but never been fired. The primers are below flush, so we'll be getting an actual true measurement. Okay. So we're 2.319195. Measure one more to see what we got. Yeah, same thing. 2.3195. So 2.2 inches, 319.5 thousandths. That's the headspace length of the semi-spec, or what should be semi-spec brass. And this is once fired, not been sized yet. We are 2 inches, 323. So that's what, 4 thousandths. Now the good thing about the Savages, which I don't like Savages myself, that one's actually 1 thousandths longer. That's let me make sure. No, maybe a 0.5 thousandths longer. So it's averaging, we'll just call it 2 inches, 323 thousandths. Where the once fired brand new brass, or that was once fired, the non-fired brand new brass is 2 inches, 319 thousandths. So that's 4 thousandths headspace that the Savage has, like it sits. Now you could, loosen the barrel nut up and spin it in till you get that, to semi-spec, whatever, and that's fine too. But for most of these guns, like Remingtons and modern guns that you can't just adjust the headspace on, you're going to have to deal with what you got, or send it to a gunsmith and have them correct it. So if I have 4 thousandths, that means this brass is stretched 4 thousandths, just firing it one time. Okay, and I don't want to stretch it no more than I have to, so I can get as many. And so I've heard some people say they get 20 loadings out of these. I don't know about all that, but I don't know. I hadn't been shooting .338 long enough to tell you any of that. But so the point is, now one more comment was, the guy was at the end of the comment, he said, so I understand it to be longer is better. Yes, as far as longer fitting your chamber. You don't want to back your die out and make it as long as possible, because then it probably won't fit your chamber. When you set up to reload, or you start out reloading, or you're setting up for another caliber or another gun. See, this is the thing. Every gun's going to be different. It may only be a couple thousandths, and you just load one load for all of them, and that's fine. Or it may have such a variance that you want to have a full-length sizing die for every gun. The neck sizer and all that stuff can go between multiple different guns that are in the same caliber. But if you've got a big variance in headspace and you're trying to save brass life and eliminate more of the dangers of having a problem due to brass stretching too much and coming apart or springing a leak, is you want to have a die for each gun. Set up for that particular chamber. That way, you go to load 100 rounds for this gun, you use this die. You go load 100 rounds for your other 308 or whatever it is, you use this die. For your initial full length resize. Then you're going to neck size until, and you'll find whatever that may be. It may be 2 rounds or 3 rounds. You may have to resize every three firings to get it where it's not tight. Now, this ain't something you want to do on a semi-auto. Semi-auto, you probably want to full length size and probably even small base body die size the brass every time. At least if you're shooting in matches, so that you don't get to the line and you're going through and then you have a failure to feed and you're trying to bump the, if you're shooting an AR platform or whatever, you're trying to bump the forward assist and try to get it to close on that round because it was blowed out and you just neck sized it, and say your chamber is for some reason egg shaped and it's blowed out, it's going to be egg shaped. If it don't go back in at the same looking at 12 o'clock clock, if it don't go back in, let's say the egg shape is from 12 to 6 and you put it in from 9 to 3, it's not going to want to close on that. You may can beat it close, you may not, but again, you're going to lose the match, or you're going to lose time in the match trying to clear that and go to another round, which may fit, may not fit. So I'm trying not to ramble on, but hopefully I think I covered everything, and hopefully you guys understand where I'm going with this. And again, use this information at your own risk. You blow your gun up, it's your fault, it's not mine. I'm not telling you to follow my procedure, or any information I give you is you take it however how you want. But this is a video I think needed to be out there for guys, because I haven't seen anybody, even the good guys on YouTube like Ammo Smith and so many guys that are just nothing but reloading, even they don't really cover this stuff. Even the long range guys who get in a long range reloading, they don't really cover this stuff that much, or any that I've saw. Maybe they do, I don't know. I haven't seen any. So hopefully this clears up all the questions that I had on the video, and show you how to set up the die for a particular gun. This is not how to set up a die for every gun. This is how you set up a die when you want that to be right for that particular chamber. You're going to just gradually, you're going to run it down till it touches. If you want to back it off, you think your chamber is longer than it should be, okay, then you can back it off and then start incrementally tightening it just a little bit more, probably 1/8 of a turn, and then you check it, and then you keep going, check it, keep going, check it till you get it where it just fits the gun. It fits it easy so that the bolt's easy to go down. If you're shooting tactical stuff, you don't want to have a bolt that's hard to close like them bench rest guys. They don't care. They can stand on it with a hammer because they got all day long to shoot half of what they do. But tactical guys, you want to be able to run this bolt, manipulate it fast, so you don't want to have ammo that's, you have to break your position to push the bolt down. So you want it to fit the chamber, yet you don't want it to be longer than it needs to be, so you end up, stretching your brass more than what needs to be done. So hopefully this cleared up most of you guys' questions and helped some of you guys who didn't fully understand this and how you go about this. And later I may get into a few little reloading videos on how to set your overall length from the ogive of your bullet, if you want it to be touching, or 10 thousandths jump, or crammed into the rifle, whatever how you want to do it. We may touch on that too, and then maybe even some progressive loading. I thought about doing a video on Dillon presses. What's the best Dillon press for you? Maybe we'll touch on that too. I don't know. I don't want to get too much into the reloading because there's a lot of guys out there who do a pretty good job of it, and you know, they make better videos than I do anyway. So I don't want to get in there and do anything that's already been done. So hope this was informative. I thank all you guys that watch and subscribe. And also, before I get off here too, I actually hit 500. I think it's 508 subscribers now. So I think we're gonna do something. I hadn't made up my mind. Some kind of a giveaway or contest like some of these other channels do. In the comments below on this video, if you are interested in something like that, should it be something reloaded relating or gunsmithing related? And probably what I'm going to want to do, whatever it is, will be video response. And I'll come back with maybe an update video here in the next couple days or a week or so, and find out what kind of a prize we're going to do. Maybe, and that's another thing. Let me know if we're going to do reloading. Then we're going to give away a reloading prize. If we're going to do gunsmithing, we'll give away a gunsmithing prize, whether it's a tool or, you know, I don't know what it'll be, but just, you know, like I said, leave it in the comments as to what you would want to do if you was to enter it and try to win something. Would you rather it be something in the gunsmithing field or something in reloading? So I'll catch you guys on the next video, and stay tuned for the bolt disassembly video, which will be up hopefully here in the next, you know, couple days or a week. So thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you on the next video.